Hello, everyone. It's nice to see you. I am going to quickly run through our return to campus information for those of you who were unable to attend your classroom meeting. We understand that as things change and families' minds change, some of you may have missed this. So we're going to do an abbreviated version that hopefully answers a majority of your questions around our new provisions and our protocols for a safe return to campus. First of all, we just want to acknowledge that every choice is a valid choice, and whether you're coming for half days or full days or choosing to stay at home, making the decision that works best for your family is important. Our biggest concern here is for all of you who are choosing to come to campus. Where we've seen some difficulty is when we're choosing to come and go from the hybrid model to the in-person model, or like one day you want to keep your child home and one day you want to keep them at school. The issue there is really about having the materials the students need to be able to flip-flop between the choices. So we are asking that should you be choosing to come to campus, we treat it like typical school where you really try to get your child here each day. Should you need to quarantine or you had an exposure, we completely understand that that's part of it. So we will work with you to get the materials to you that are needed. But from day to day and under typical circumstances, we really hope that families can stick with their choice and try to do it with fidelity. A couple of things that we want to address with you. The number one line of defense right now is our daily health screenings. This is the time in the morning before the kids come to school that you double check your child's health, and just make sure that they're feeling well before they come to campus. This form will come to your email at 6 a.m. every morning. You don't need to fill it out by 6 a.m., but you do need to fill it out before your child comes to school. We ask that you do a temperature check and that you have a thermometer at home. The temperature check is a number one indicator. If the kids have a fever, they should not be coming to school. You fill all of this out on a Google form and you submit it. It takes a total of 30 seconds, the whole process. And as you continue on throughout, our daily screenings, you may be tempted to sort of not do it or do it quickly or not actually take the temperature, but we really hope that in the spirit of communal health and responsibility that you guys will stick with this process, even though it will get a little, boring for you at times. Or you'll just wake up and you'll see, oh, my kid seems fine, I'm going to send them to school. But please just do that health screening for us, because it really does take a whole community commitment to keep us safe here on campus. Masks are required to be on campus, so it's really important that this be an over the ear or over the back of the head mask. They are not allowed to be the gaiters or the bandanas or the scarves. It really needs to be a cloth or medical grade mask. We ask that there's full day compliance for this. So if your child is not ready to wear a mask for the full day, starting them with half days to build that stamina might be important. And if this is a concern for you, we ask that you reach out to me so we can talk about what is the best option for your child if they're having difficulty with mask compliance. They do have a break at snack time. When the kids take their masks off to eat, they are sitting behind shields. They are not allowed to get up while they're eating, and the doors and the windows are open to increase that ventilation. If you want your child to wear a shield over their mask, that's fine. It can be an extra layer of protection, but it can't be substitute for the mask. And the mask has to be worn over the nose and over the mouth while we're in school. So far, the kids have been doing a really great job with this. Little pre-cares. This is my son here. He's been doing this all year, and he started 4 years old. I brought him to school. He hadn't really worn masks much, but as he's seen his friends doing it and his teachers doing it, it just hasn't even really been much of an issue. And we'll reach out to any parents if it's starting to show that their child is having some difficulty with the mask. This is one important note to make. Snap a screenshot if it's helpful for you. Keep this presentation handy. It is vital that if your child has any kind of illness symptoms, that we are not coming to school right now. I know in the past, if a kid had a sniffly nose or a low grade cough, we send them to school, but we are really asking parents to be responsible with illness. what we're seeing is that there's symptoms that are related to COVID that if your child is demonstrating any of those symptoms, they need to just get tested, and they shouldn't return to campus until they are symptom free and have a negative COVID test. Things like fever, runny nose, cough, body aches, chills, loss of taste, loss of smell. Those are all, the typical COVID symptoms. But also, if your child is experiencing other types of symptoms not related to COVID, they're sleepy, they have an upset stomach, you still need to keep them home and monitor those symptoms for 48 hours. If after 48 hours it turns out they just did have a bad night's sleep, or their stomach was just off because they ate something bad, we understand. You can still always reach out to your doctor to see if COVID tests are warranted in those instances. But if they are COVID symptoms, the child needs to be tested. And if they're not typical COVID symptoms, they still need to be monitored while we figure out if it's going to turn into something more significant. So if you've done that 48-hour monitoring and the symptoms are not gone, we will require a negative COVID test for your child to return back to campus. This needs to be 48 hours symptom-free without the use of medicine. So, if they have a fever and you give them ibuprofen and they no longer have a fever, that doesn't really count. Just remember that the incubation period is 14 days. So if you have a negative COVID test, but your symptoms are still persisting, we ask that you continue to talk to your doctor to see if more testing is going to be needed. Here's the big thing. If you're unsure, just call us. We take calls from families all the time to want to talk through about what's the best move, what's the right move. Typically, if anything is coming up, we fall on the cautious side of things, and that's always going to be our recommendation. But it's better to call us than for us to have to send a child home. So, when you are seeing something arise, just communicate, an email, a call to the main office. Ginny, Martine, or I are all happy to kind of talk through what the best next steps are for your family. So if a positive case is to be confirmed in a cohort, we will do a quarantine period. So those are 10 to 14 days. The recommendations continue to fluctuate. We will let you know what we're going to do, and remote learning will start during that time. It's really important that you're honest with us if there is an exposure in your family or a positive case. There is no need to worry about if people will be upset. There's no need to worry about stigmatization. Communication and honesty is key, and we're always going to protect the identity and the medical information around our students and our families. We're not going to be talking about it. We're not going to be letting people know who tested positive in a cohort. But also, there's nothing to be embarrassed about should you have symptoms or have an exposure. So just email us, call us. We are available to work through that kind of a process with you guys. Just so you know, what high-risk exposure is anyone in a household or a student having close contact with an individual who has a confirmed or suspected case of COVID for 15 minutes or more with or without a mask. So you can see it's really easy to get into high-risk exposure with just 15 minutes. That's a short amount of time. This includes the time 48 hours before that person was symptomatic. So you could have been exposed before that they were symptomatic. It's really important to know this, to know if you carry exposure or if it's high risk or low risk. Again, if you had a high risk exposure, please contact us. We're never going to talk about your identity, but we will make sure that we make the right next moves for each individual situation. I've been talking a lot here about cohorting, and what exactly does that mean? That basically means that we are keeping the students intact in cohorts, meaning we're not going to do flexible groupings or have shared spaces, because this is one of the best ways to reduce cross-contamination in our school. So a couple instances, walk to read. Well, we can't do walk to read physically, so we're doing walk to read virtually, even for our students who are on site. Or if our students are walking for more than one placement, we might have them just pod with that class. This way we can keep those intact, but we can really just reduce the impact of what an exposure would happen. So for example, if this is pre-K, kindergarten, first and second, and pre-K has a positive case, well, we may have to shut this cohort down, but we don't have to also shut down kindergarten first and second. You can see that, with siblings or such things, there could be, impacts if there is high risk exposure, but we haven't had any issues with this yet on campus, and knock on wood, hopefully we will not. So just so you guys know, this is really important to understand why we're not just letting kids do things that they normally do, or why can't we just go to recess altogether, or why can't we just all mix in our typical groupings. And we understand that this is above and beyond caution, but this is a recommendation that we continue to do this throughout the pandemic. Just talking a little bit about, what hybrid learning is. It's us delivering instruction to both home learners and school learners at the same time. And the goal here is that the teachers can do this simultaneously and give support to both learning environments, both in person and at home. The parts of instruction are still all there. The direct instruction is where the teachers are giving new skills to students, and they still do guided practice where they work alongside the students to practice their skills. We are still able to facilitate some collaborative learning. That's where the students work together to learn. And there's also elements of independent practice that still happen. So all of those are still happening through hybrid learning. But the home learners and the classroom learners are still sharing the teacher's attention. So it's no different than if they were sharing teacher attention, at school. Not everybody always gets the teacher's attention all of the time, but this is going to look a little bit different now that we're breaking into sort of like two distinct learning environments. Just be patient with us. We are learning as we are going, and we're going to continue to get better and better at this. The good news is we've had a lot of time with half days to practice this, and it's going very well. The kids are extremely compliant with the rules and the provisions. So we're really optimistic that as we move forward, it's going to continue to be a really great and safe way for everybody to learn. A sample schedule. So just so you know, this is, kind of what we already viewed. The health screening really has to happen before the student is dropped off at school. The drop off, you will have a temperature check, and we'll go through this with the drop off and pickup procedures. Then you will enter your classroom. You will do the academic content. You will still have a snack break. You will still have a little morning recess. Now, when we were half days, and some families are going to keep doing half days, there will be a pickup at 11:30. So if your child is staying with half days, that's when that midday pickup will still happen. Dr. Romero and I will still be out there doing carpool. And then you'll go home and do your afternoon classes. For students who are staying the full day now, they will have their lunch, they will have their snack, and then they will do afternoon classes in their classrooms. So again, we're staying potted in those cohorts. We're staying in our homeroom classes. We're not going up to the cafeteria. Students will need to bring their own lunch. We don't have a hot lunch yet back on campus. We'll hopefully have that back up and running for next year. But for now, the students have to stay in their classrooms to eat. So pack a snack, pack a lunch, and a water bottle. The teachers are going to let everybody know what needs to come back as far as classroom materials for those staying half day, those staying full day. And again, just a little bit of patience and grace in those first weeks as we continue to work out some of the kinks. For those of you who have not done drop off in a while, there's not much that has changed. So you're still going to enter the south entrance. You're going to go all the way up to the 4th level, and you're going to get in line. There is only one drop off point though now. So that's down where lower school used to do their morning and afternoon carpool. So you're going to get in that line, and you're going to see Dr. Romero out there, Dr. Romero and I out there each morning to do temperature checks. You'll just roll down your window or have your students open the door. We'll do a quick temp check. They will hop out, and they will go to class, and you will drive off. So the campus is still closed. And if you are needing to come on campus, we just ask that you have a mask on. If you need to get out of your car for any reason to help your child to have a mask on. Unfortunately, we can't jump into cars like we used to do to help kids unbuckle and buckle up. So if that is a concern for the younger children, parents, you're still welcome to support with that. You just have to have a mask on. And we just ask that you wait for the carpool line to move fully before you get out of your car. So they're welcome to hop out of their car. We'll greet them in our cheerful, usual manner. We'll do anything we can to help make sure that they can get out of the cars safely, and it's been going really well so far. Again, the midday pickup will start right there around 11:25. We'll start calling kids out. This isn't a lot of students, but they'll still probably be a line. And dismissal will look similar. So you'll just drive in the south entrance, you'll go up to the 4th level, and you'll come down and you'll get in line, and we will call the kids out. Because campus is closed right now, there's no like parking and meeting your child outside their classroom. Everyone's going to get picked up from the carpool spot. A couple other things, the supplies, the teachers are going to let you know what needs to be brought back to school. So watch for that communication. If there's any confusion, reach out to your homeroom teachers. Snacks for the little guys, just make sure it's stuff that they can manage themselves, so that the teachers don't have to do too much touching of the food. Backpacks are okay for the older kids. For the little guys, they're less encouraged just because there's not a lot of stuff they should have to bring back and forth at this point. But at any time, should you need help with a backpack, that's okay to bring as well. Technology, we have some capabilities to provide technology for families who need it. If you have stuff though, it's helpful to send, because we are trying to help other families who don't have things on campus. But again, if you need a Chromebook, a headset, we have those things that the students can check out. Just need to let us know if that is your child. For the most part, the teachers know who needs this stuff and who doesn't, and not all the teachers need it at all times, but we're trying to check it out individually to each student, so there's not a lot of shared material. So travel continues to be a question mark about what the recommendation will be in any given time. You know, it already changed from midwinter break from Christmas break to midwinter break. So we don't know if there will be another change for Easter break. It worked very well. Our families were extremely responsible with letting us know about their decision to travel. We will not tell you that you cannot travel. We just ask that you ready yourself for the back end quarantine when you do travel. So right now it's a full 14-day quarantine upon return, or you need to quarantine for 7 days and then get your test on or after the 7th day. And then if it's negative, the students can come back. So the special nuance with the testing is that you can't come back in day 1, get your tests, and then come back to school. You do need to quarantine for at least a week, so a full 7 days, then get your test. And then when you receive the results, we can decide whether or not the students are ready to come back. Otherwise, the full 14 days is fine. When you are quarantining after travel, it does need to, the students will be able to log into virtual learning at that time. So again, that's a family decision to make. If you don't want your child to miss any school, there is the only option of then they can't go on trips. So with Easter break approaching, we'll probably do something similar as we did to midwinter break, which is we sent a form out for parents to let us know if they were traveling, and if they were traveling, what was their expected return date. So we'll do that for Easter break as well. Just knowing that we're looking into the extended school day, a couple questions that have come up. Yes, lunch is the most high risk time. We're doing everything we can to mitigate the exposure at lunch, including staying in classrooms, seated eating behind the desk shields with doors and windows wide open during that time. When the weather starts getting nice, hopefully we can add some outdoor time for that. Specialists, because they're mixed groupings and shared spaces, they're not going to happen. They're not going to happen inside the classrooms right now, but they will be brought into the classrooms via Zoom, and the teachers will help facilitate the specialists at that time. Trying to think what other those of you returning who haven't been back in a while, uniforms are required. So make sure that you have uniforms that fit. The Spirit hoodies for middle school are still available for purchase. You guys can order those at any time. Dennis Uniform is having a sale right now. And you can also, sorry about that. And you can also come talk to us about our uniform exchange if your child needs anything. So let us know if you have any uniform needs, but yes, they have to come back in uniform. And other than that, just I hope everyone knows that it looks really great. We're doing our best to protect everybody, the teachers, the students, keep everybody safe. Um, we've had really great luck with how well our community has taken this pandemic seriously. So I hope we can all continue to do that. And as we move forward, if we need to change things, we'll just be in communication with you. If there's an issue, we'll let you know. And if there's stuff we need to work on with your child, we will let you know. But for the most part, the kids are remembering what it means to be in school, and they're doing a really great job. So thank you for your time today. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us via email. Thank you.